The buy-in started with Renee Paquette in the ring, and she introduces Mick Foley, who came out to a really big response. And it was, I mean, the venue was like half full at the beginning here. And we had heard from Braden and Davey that it was an insane line outside during the buy-in to get in. So it seemed like it was a lot of people all trying to get in. And it was I would say by the time the pay-per-view started, it looked pretty full by that point. But Mick came out, new music. He pointed to Noel, who was there in the front row, and you could tell this certainly was a big deal to Mick Foley. He said, "This is one of the greatest nights of my career." So big, he wore his Crystal Gale shirt, and says that AEW, he had fallen out of wrestling, but AEW is the reason he fell back in love with it, and mentioned a lunch he had with Tony Khan, which was actually 15 years ago, before this guy was ever involved in AEW, but did have that, pre-existing relationship. And more to come with Mick Foley on the show, but got a nice reaction here, and it seemed like he was, really taken aback here by just the being in this new company on his first night, and obviously had a very big segment to come later, which I imagine was, for him, his big highlight of the show.
He immediately felt like a bigger deal in this world than I think he has in the WWE in quite some time. Whether it just be because he's kind of been around so often, it doesn't really feel that special anymore, or the fact that he's largely been reduced to more of like your comedic figure over the past, however many decades. Like here, he actually felt more like, I would say, the sort of like, more serious Cactus Jack, ECW, WCW side of him. And he was playing to, an audience that was probably seeing him as much more of a hardcore legend than just Mr. Sacco.
And then we've got like 10, 15 minutes left, and Renee and Foley are in the ring to preview the main event. And Foley takes some shots at MJF, stating that he's not fighting to win, but instead he's fighting not to lose, and predicts Darby is going to win. So this prompts MJF to come out, and it's not to his music. And when the place realizes, oh my God, we're getting Mick Foley and MJF together in the ring, this whole place is just buzzing. And there's huge chance of bald. He tells Foley that you became a legend by failing in every big moment of your career. He also takes a shot at the Knicks and their chances of winning, which are, at least this series that they're in, I think they have a very high probability of winning. More bald chance. He compares Foley to Darby, the two of them being underdogs, and Foley gets his response, and he literally says, "I just want to take this in for a moment because I never thought I'd have this feeling again," as he just literally turns into like Mick Foley promo mode, and it's like 1995 for this guy for a minute.
Wait a second. Was this man not involved in the Invisible Man versus Sandman? Okay. He played a very pivotal role in that one. His big problem, he didn't take that moment a couple of weeks ago. He didn't take it in.
To truly take it in.
Yeah.
So he does mention that, yes, I did lose a lot of matches, but I did beat someone named The Rock. And man, did The Rock get booed here when they name dropped him. And Foley says, I did lose matches, but I never lost in 2 minutes and 15 seconds. That's not a loss. That's a disgrace. And Foley explains that I just want to go out and steal the show. Darby wants more than just stealing the show. And he ends it by saying that, MJF, you've got wavy hair, and tonight it's waving goodbye. And with that, MJF kicks him in the balls, and then Darby races down. MJF runs to the back, and Foley gets on the mic and finishes his promo telling everyone about how he learned of Darby Allin. It was through John Moxley all of these years ago, and watching him succeed, and how Darby shared that Foley was one of his inspirations, compares him to himself, and says that he taught everyone, that he's telling Darby this, that greatness doesn't come in one package, and to win one for all of us weird ones. And to quote a good friend of mine, bang, bang. This was just awesome, this segment. It was tremendous. Mick Foley was excellent in this segment, and this is like the perfect, like we talk about these pre-shows, and they're all designed to get you to buy the show. Like typically, it's a bunch of matches that are probably, you've decided if you're going to buy the show. They use these last 15 minutes to totally sell you on this main event. And I just thought this was effective, and everyone was great in this segment.
Agreed. I thought this was a hell of a way to close a pre-show. For many, I think this particular interaction between MJF and Foley was probably the dream interaction you would have when you just think about Mick Foley interacting with anybody on this roster. So to get it here in the really the last go home thing, attached to a pay-per-view, I thought did a great job in making you pay attention, first of all, and it also in content did a great job of promoting the main event for tonight. As for Foley himself, I thought he sounded great here, like serious, smooth in his delivery, had some great lines and about the waves in his hair. And I thought like a segment like this, coupled with like what he was able to say about Darby Allin, it demonstrated the value that Mick Foley at age 60 can still bring to a wrestling promotion like AEW. So he came across really, really strong here. And I mean, I certainly hope for more of this type of Mick Foley.
Yeah, I mean, he also went over like all his hip, his knees, and when Darby ran out, I was like, here is the ghost of Christmas future for Darby as he was meeting him. Maybe we'll get a Christmas.
I mean, they all know it. He knows it, but like, that's kind of why we are so curious about a guy like this. He's one of those outliers that I guess lives for the moment, right?
If the Post Wrestling Cafe were to undergo a drug test in the month of May, we would be testing positive because we are overloaded with content. We are going to be reviewing Hulk Hogan, Real American, all 4 episodes this month. Plus, we will go inside the Manosphere with a review of the latest Louis Theroux documentary. We will also have coverage of the Ronda Rousey-Gina Carano fight, also taking place on Netflix. Rewind Away tackles WCW Super Brawl 2, and we cover NXT TakeOver Brooklyn from 2015. All that, plus all of the XL editions on a weekly basis, Collision Course, Daredevil Born Again, and so much more. It can all be yours at postwrestlingcafe.com. $8 gets you in the door.